11 Languages Revealed. The incredible journey of a proud cleaning lady that shocked a millionaire. Maria wrapped her fingers tightly around a scrub brush, the bristles worn but reliable. In the heart of Chicago, she transformed gleaming office floors into her sanctuary, scrubbing away the dust that cloaked dreams like hers. She worked hard, her muscles tense with fatigue, but her spirit remained bright, especially for the two little hearts waiting for her at home, Mia and Carlos. Each stroke of the brush reminded her of their laughter, their bright eyes, and the dreams she wanted to nurture. As she cleaned, snippets of conversations from the executive floors drifted down to her like whispers from a different world. "Did you hear about the language award contest?" one affluent woman exclaimed. Maria's heart skipped a beat. 11 languages? The possibilities stirred something deep within her, a longing to dive into the world of words, to bring stories alive for her children. In the quiet of the night, when her kids were asleep, Maria huddled over a worn notebook, the flickering light of a candle guiding her as she scribbled notes. Spanish, French, Japanese, each language became a window to new doors. But just as ambition sparkled in her chest, the school announced a scholarship contest for Mia and Carlos. A full ride to the university where Maria dared to hope she might one day earn her degree in education. The prize felt tantalizingly close, yet the cost weighed heavily on her heart. Could she risk her job by focusing on this contest? With every passing moment, her employer's expectations loomed larger, like shadows threatening to engulf her dreams. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. In the midst of the swirling chaos, Mr. Thompson, the millionaire who often came to the office, noticed her late-night enthusiasm for languages. "There's talent here," he told his friends, his voice steady. "Maria deserves to be in this competition." He stood up for her, stirring the minds of those who had only seen her as a cleaner. His support felt like a warm embrace, lifting her from despair. Yet a sharp division still pierced her heart. The whispers behind her back stung. How could a cleaning lady possibly aspire to such heights? Doubt crept in, fogging her mind. Was she a traitor for dreaming? Every critical glance seemed to reinforce the borders of their worlds. The clock ticked on, and Maria stood at a crossroads. Her armor of determination was fraying. If she dared chase after the stars, would it tear her family apart? As the pressure mounted, she wondered if the fire within her could ignite change, not just for her children, but for herself. Could she break through the barriers and redefine success for a proud cleaning lady fighting against all odds? The stakes grew higher, and with every passing moment, her chance to find out slipped closer to the edge of night, leaving her aching for clarity. Morning light spilled into Maria's small apartment, illuminating the crayon drawings that covered the walls like memories. Mia and Carlos were still asleep, their peaceful faces nestled into their pillows. Maria stood by the window, a steaming cup of coffee in hand, watching the city wake up. Her heart danced with the flickering hope of pursuing her own dreams. Today was the day she would gather her courage. With a deep breath, she resolved to stake her claim and sign up for the language contest. It felt as if the universe was conspiring in her favor, whispering that she deserved more. At the office, she scrubbed and polished, but time felt different today. Each moment was infused with a vibrant pulse of possibility. As she buffed the floor, Mr. Thompson entered. He had come to admire the sparkle of his building, but today, his presence radiated something more, a sense of urgency. "Maria," he called out, motioning for her to come closer. Her hands were still stained with cleaner, but she approached with a mix of fear and anticipation. "What's up, sir?" she asked, wiping her palms on her apron and squaring her shoulders. He leaned in, his voice low, as if sharing a secret. "Have you thought about the language contest? You should really enter. I could help you, I know people. Her heart pounded. Really? But what can I offer? I'm just a cleaning lady. Just a cleaning lady? He smiled kindly, but it turned serious. You have immense talent, and it's time you understood that. You can inspire others. His words ignited something within her, a fierce flame of determination. Would it be possible to transform from invisible to extraordinary? From a simple cleaning lady to a recognized contender? Okay, she stammered, taken aback by her own audacity. I'll think about it. As she returned to her tasks, the spark from their exchange lingered. She scrubbed harder, imagining herself standing on a stage, delivering a moving speech in multiple languages. Each time she devisualized it, the words flowed like water, rich and beautiful. Confidence began to rise within her like that coffee brewing in the morning. When the last of her shifts ended, Maria made her way to the nearest community center, where they were holding sign-ups for the contest. The building loomed ahead, an imposing reminder of her dreams and struggles. What if she failed? What if the whispers grew louder? Shaking her head to erase the doubts, she pushed forward, right into the hubbub of eager contestants. As she filed her papers, she felt a stirring in her soul. At that moment, she was not alone. Each person there was a little dreamer, just like her, hoping to rise beyond expectations, beyond labels. But as she turned to leave, her heart dropped. The flyers pinned to the board caught her eye. One caught her attention in particular. Meet your mentor. It announced a workshop with a renowned linguist. The event was the next day, and participation required commitment and, most daunting of all, confidence. Suddenly, fear clawed at her again. Should she risk everything? Just then, she remembered Mia's laughter and Carlos's innocent dreams spiraling like fireworks in her mind. Could they be part of this journey? With her heart racing, she turned back to the board, staring at the flyer. Maybe this was the opportunity she needed to bridge the worlds that felt so distant. Would she have the courage to pursue this, plus confront her fears head-on? The thought lingered, heavy yet thrilling, as she grappled with her decision. The next morning, Maria awoke with the sun streaming through the window, illuminating a dust motes that floated like tiny dreams in the air. Her heart raced as the thoughts from yesterday churned in her mind. The workshop, the mentor, the chance to be more than what she was. After breakfast, she gathered Mia and Carlos close to her. Their laughter echoed in the small kitchen as she weaved tales of adventure, telling them about the incredible workshop she wanted to attend. She could see their eyes widen in excitement, and her heart swelled with joy. What if I could learn to speak different languages like a butterfly flitting from flower to flower? She asked playfully. You'd be a superhero, Mia chirped, and Carlos nodded vigorously, his cereal almost spilling over in his enthusiasm. That was the motivation she needed. Maria spent the morning dreaming of the possibilities, standing tall with confidence, inspiring others, and maybe, just maybe, becoming that superhero for her children. But as the clock ticked toward noon, that wonderful thrill was tempered with doubt. Her fingers trembled as she recalled Mr. Thompson's words. You can inspire others. Could she really do it? The weight of potential failure felt heavy in the pit of her stomach. She could already hear the voices of skepticism echoing in her mind. With a sudden rush of clarity, she decided to step outside. The air was crisp, and she took a deep breath, absorbing the energy of the bustling city around her. It was alive and vibrant, much like her hopes. Each step toward the community center felt like a leap into the unknown. When she arrived, the hall was alive with friendly faces, bustling about and exchanging ideas. It felt like stepping into a tapestry of dreams woven together. Maria stood by the entrance, her heart pounding wildly. Just breathe, she murmured, clutching the flyer tightly. Then, with a determined nod, she plunged into the crowd, where voices swirled around her, creating a symphony of aspirations. Soon, she found herself in a corner, listening as the famed linguist, Dr. Ramirez, spoke about the beauty of storytelling in every tongue. His voice was warm, wrapping around her like a cozy blanket, providing both comfort and encouragement. As she listened, Maria felt emboldened. She remembered how each song she sung to the children had painted stories of joy and imagination across their hearts, allowing them to dream bigger. If she could do that, couldn't she also share those dreams more broadly? After the session, she gathered her courage and approached Dr. Ramirez. "Excuse me, Dr. Ramirez?" Her voice trembled just a bit. He turned and smiled, and the kindness in his eyes made her heart leap. She introduced herself, explaining her background and how she felt drawn to share her voice with others. "Your story is just as important as anyone else's," Dr. Ramirez said, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You have unique experiences. Embrace them. Let them shine." Tears welled in her eyes at his words. It was as if she had been granted permission to be herself, to rise above the labels set upon her. That night, when she returned home, laughter still echoed in her ears. Mia and Carlos were the first to greet her, their energy contagious. With each hug they shared, Maria felt lighter, more alive, as if the heaviness of expectation had begun to dissipate. Over dinner, she excitedly recounted her day, weaving in the wisdom from Dr. Ramirez. There was no holding back now. She was going to push through those fears and embrace the workshop entirely. As night enveloped the city, Maria lay awake, heart racing with possibilities. Could she really transform herself and give inspiration back to her children? Could she truly voice the dreams she harbored? Yet amidst the thrill, a lingering question haunted her. What if she stumbles along the way? That uncertainty hung in the air like a weight, squeezing her heart just a little. But something deeper whispered that every journey has its bumps, and it's through those bumps she might find strength she never knew she had. Her journey was just beginning, and the stakes were rising. But what would happen if she stepped fully upon that stage to share not just her dreams but their dreams as well? The morning sun broke through the curtains again, warming Maria's face. With each ray, her resolve felt stronger, like a tiny fire igniting within her. Today was the day she would secure her spot in the workshop. Her heart raced with excitement, yet a whisper of doubt still lingered. Would she truly belong among those talented individuals? "Mom, can we go to the park later?" Mia's voice broke through her thoughts, pulling her back to the present. Carlos piped in, "Yeah, we can play soccer." His bright smile made her heart flutter, a reminder of why she was pushing to change. She nodded, feigning confidence. "Of course. A fun day planned after my workshop dreams come true." Her forced enthusiasm only half convinced her. After breakfast, Maria picked up a worn notebook, its pages filled with dreams, sketches, and thoughts. She flipped through it, smiling at memories of laughter shared, stories sung, and moments when her heart felt full. Today she would add to that. Scratching down her thoughts, she wrote about embracing fear, stepping forward, and the superhero she hoped to become. On her way to the community center, the usual hustle of the city felt electric. With every step, her heartbeat quickened, matching the rhythm of her aspirations. As she entered the building, nerves fluttered in her stomach, but today felt different. The atmosphere thrummed with potential, and she was ready to embrace it. Maria ventured into a workshop room brimming with eager faces. The ambience buzzed with chatter and laughter as attendees animatedly shared their stories. She felt a sudden pang of familiarity, as if she had nestled into a community that understood her journey. The workshop began with Dr. Ramirez welcoming everyone with his usual warmth. "Each one of you carries within you a unique story that deserves to be told," he said, his voice smooth and inviting. "When you believe in your dreams, you inspire others." Maria leaned forward, soaking in his words. It was like a balm for her anxious thoughts. She brought herself back to the time when her children fought over who got to tell a story first. Those endless bedtime tales she spun just to watch their eyes fill with wonder. As the session progressed, they were prompted to share their childhood dreams and aspirations. Maria felt the room transform into something sacred, a cherished space where vulnerability was met with strength. It was her turn. A lump formed in her throat as she stood, the weight of those skeptical voices spilling over her. "I am Maria," she started, surprised at her own voice. "I've dreamed of exploring languages, of sharing stories, of inspiring my children. And then she saw Mia and Carlos watching her, their eyes wide, filled with pride. That spark of joy set her heart alight. I want to be their superhero. Her voice grew firmer, more confident, electrified by the energy of the moment. The room erupted in applause, voices buzzing with encouragement. Dr. Ramirez beamed at her, his eyes shining. When she finally returned home, exhilaration pulsed through her. She rushed into the living room where Mia and Carlos were piecing together a puzzle. Guess what? I shared my dream today, she declared, her voice infused with enthusiasm. Yay, Mommy! Mia cheered, her grin stretching wide. Carlos jumped up. Can we be superheroes too? Yes. Maria laughed, gathering them in her arms. We can all be superheroes. As they embraced, a part of her felt whole, like a seed being planted, ready to bloom. But doubt still flickered quietly, lingering just beneath the surface. What if this was just a moment? What if she couldn't keep up with the expectation? Later that night, Maria lay awake, wrestling with her uncertainties. The thought clung to her, what if she revealed her internal struggles as well? What if vulnerability became part of her journey? As she drifted in and out of sleep, her dreams were painted with laughter, love, and the faces of her children. It was the beginning, but what challenges awaited her at the next workshop? Little did she know the next step would push her further than she had ever imagined. Would she rise to meet it? The next morning, Maria awoke feeling heavier than usual. The sunlight streaming through her window felt like it was trying to lift her spirits, but the weight of expectation wrapped around her like a thick blanket. Today was the second workshop, and she couldn't shake that nagging fear inside. What if she stumbled? What if she wasn't good enough? She shook off those thoughts as best she could, reminding herself of the applause from the day before. Focus on today, Maria, she whispered to herself, a mantra that felt a little shaky. She couldn't help but glance at her notebook again. Those pages filled with dreams and hopes felt like a lifeline. After breakfast, she gathered the kids and their laughter filled the air. Mia wore her favorite pink dress, while Carlos sported a soccer jersey that had seen better days. They were the embodiment of joy, completely unaware of their mother's inner turmoil. Maria smiled despite herself. Ready to go? She asked, trying to inject some enthusiasm. Always, they shouted in unison, and Maria's heart tightened. As they headed to the community center, Maria couldn't help but cast nervous glances at the overweight backpack that hung on her shoulders. It had become a symbol of her journey, filled with dreams, doubts, and little reminders that she belonged somewhere more. Walking into the workshop, the buzz had intensified. Maria noticed familiar faces but also new ones. The dynamic had shifted, and she took a deep breath. Dr. Ramirez started speaking, his presence warm and commanding. Today, he announced, we will dive deeper into our stories. We'll discover what makes us unique. Maria felt a pang of unease. The more they shared, the more exposed she felt. As the icebreakers commenced, she listened to others share their fears and struggles. One woman spoke about her battle with fear after losing a loved one. Another shared how her journey through illness taught her resilience. Maria felt tears prick her eyes. Their stories resonated, pulling her in, and she realized she wasn't alone. Then it was time for a new exercise. Each participant was assigned to partner with someone else. They were to listen and then share what they heard as if it were their own story. As Maria paired with a soft-spoken man named Ethan, her nervousness flared again. He began to speak about growing up in a difficult neighborhood, yet managing to finish school against all odds. I never thought I'd make it, he admitted, his voice trembling slightly. But someone believed in me. Maria saw sparks of hope in his eyes. When it was her turn to share Ethan's story, it poured out of her like a waterfall. She could feel their struggles merging, intertwining. Standing there in front of the group, sharing someone else's journey, felt oddly empowering. It was like she was finding her voice in another's experience. But the real challenge came when Dr. Ramirez had them shift partners again. This time, they were to attempt sharing something from their own stories, a personal fear that hindered their growth. Maria's heart raced. Remember, Dr. Ramirez said, vulnerability breeds connection. We're all here to support each other. In that moment, Maria realized vulnerability was more than just sharing. It was a brave leap into the unknown. However, as she looked around, her courage faltered. What would she reveal? A part of her yearned to speak about her dreams, but the shadows of self-doubt crept in again. What if they laugh or don't understand? She silently fretted. Ethan locked eyes with her, smiling gently as if he could sense her turmoil. "You got this," he murmured, as if offering his belief as a buoy to her sinking ship. As the moment approached, Maria had a choice to make. Step into her light or retreat into her fears. With a trembling voice, she heard herself say, "I'm Maria, and I've always dreamed of more." Would she finally find the courage to open up or retreat again, hidden behind her fears? Her heart raced with the uncertainty, but deep down, she felt that tiny spark nudging her forward. What if this time was different? The room felt charged, like the moment before a storm. All eyes were on Maria, a mixture of eagerness and curiosity in the air. She could feel her palms sweating, her breath shallow. "I've always dreamed of more." The words hung in the air, daring her to continue. The familiar weight of doubt snaked back in, whispering, "What if they see you for who you really are?" But then she remembered Ethan's reassuring smile, the kindness radiating from Dr. Ramirez, and the stories she had heard just moments ago. They were all on a journey, each person with their own fears and dreams. "I want to share something that has always been a part of me," she said, her voice quivering but defiant. "I've always wanted to be a writer. Stories are like magic to me. They have the power to change lives." Silence enveloped her as she searched the faces in the room. Would they understand? Would they support her? Ethan leaned in slightly, his eyes wide, as if encouraging her more. Maria gathered her courage, letting the words flow. "But fear has always held me back, fear that my voice isn't strong enough or that no one would want to read what I have to say." Dr. Ramirez nodded, his expression encouraging. "Fear is a common thread among us. Recognizing it is the first step to overcoming it," he said. Maria felt a weight lift just hearing those words. As she continued, she revealed her memories of scribbling stories in her notebook late at night, how the flicker of a certain lamp in the corner of her childhood home inspired tales of adventure, heroes, and far-off lands. Each revelation peeled back layers of her heart. With every word, her confidence blossomed. The room felt smaller as she shared her dreams, the faces of her children nudging her on. "I want to show them life is full of possibilities," she confessed, emotion spilling over in her voice. "I want them to pursue their dreams, no matter how impossible they seem." A murmur of support rippled through the group. For the first time, Maria could see a sparkle of understanding in their eyes. It felt like they were sharing the same breath, caught in the power of honesty and vulnerability. When she finished, the room erupted into applause. Each clap felt like a wave washing over her, carrying away the shadows she'd been wrestling with for so long. Tears glistened in her eyes. Their acceptance filled her with warmth. She had stepped into the light, and it felt good. The workshop continued, but Maria was floating, buoyed by what she had just shared. She had grappled with her fears and emerged victorious. As the session wound down, Dr. Ramirez took a moment to emphasize the importance of each person's story. "You are all writers of your own lives," he declared, "and today you've taken steps toward owning that narrative." As the workshop closed, everyone exchanged encouraging words. Maria felt a sense of kinship that had previously been absent. In that space of vulnerability, she found connection, something she desperately needed. With every smile and kind word exchanged, another brick in her wall of fear crumbled away. Yet deep inside, the flicker of doubt lingered. The journey was far from over. As she walked out of the community center, surrounded by her children, the weight of her dreams felt slightly lighter. But when she glanced at the horizon, she knew challenges awaited her. Could she maintain this newfound courage long enough to turn her dreams into reality? In the heart of change, where hope and fear collided, Maria gripped her notebook tightly. It represented not just her dreams but the path ahead, a path filled with uncertainty but also with endless possibilities. She took a deep breath, knowing she had taken a leap today, but would she leap again when it mattered most? The sun dipped low, painting the sky in vibrant hues of orange and pink. Maria walked hand in hand with her children, their laughter bright against the backdrop of the setting sun. Each giggle felt like a promise of hope, growth, and potential. They had witnessed her brave moment, and it filled her with warmth. Yet, beneath that warmth, doubt still whispered, "What if I fail?" The thought was insistent as they headed toward the car. She shook her head, trying to dispel it. But the nagging uncertainty wouldn't let her be. "Mommy, can we read a story tonight?" Her youngest, Sophia, asked, her eyes shining like stars, full of innocence and belief in every word Maria had shared. Just the thought of reading inspired stories reminded Maria of why she wanted to write in the first place. "Of course, sweetheart," Maria replied, her heart swelling. As they settled at home, Maria flipped through her worn notebook, pages filled with unfinished stories and half-formed ideas. Each section represented both her dreams and her fears. She hesitated, staring at the words. What if she opened that first blank page on her computer and found nothing? The sound of her children reading together brought a smile to her face, but it was laced with discomfort. As they voiced the characters excited, scared, brave, she felt a deep longing to do the same. She took a deep breath, hoping for strength, and flipped back to her notes from the workshop. "Today, I stepped into the light," she reminded herself. Wasn't that courage worth acting upon? Continuing, with newfound determination, Maria began to write. Words rushed out like water from a broken dam, pouring onto the page. She wrote about a character who struggled with insecurity but found the strength to pursue her dreams. It felt strangely freeing to pour her fears and hopes onto the paper. But then her phone buzzed. A business opportunity to showcase her writing at a local event popped up in her notifications. Excitement bubbled within her, but it burst just as quickly. Could she actually do it? To stand in front of people, her work open for criticism? What if no one connected with her story? Sophia glanced up at Maria, sensing her mother's pause. "Mommy, are you okay?" "I'm okay, honey," Maria smiled, but her fast-beating heart told a different story. She folded the phone away, trying to silence the chaos in her mind. "I'm just thinking." While dinner simmered in the pot, Maria felt the urge to reach out to Dr. Ramirez and Ethan. They had provided so much encouragement. Her fingers hovered over her phone. Should she ask for advice on this opportunity? Would they discourage her like the little voice in her head? Yet, what if they inspired her to leap into something greater than herself? Just then, a text from Ethan lit up her screen. He had replayed her story in his mind and wanted to share an idea. The instant glow of potential reignited her spirit. Felt like a nudge from the universe, telling her to take a chance. Maria's lips curled into a determined grin. She had walked through doors of vulnerability. Now it was time to kick them wide open. "Can we read my story tonight?" she called. Her children cheered, their enthusiasm igniting her confidence. As they snuggled up together, ready for her to share, Maria realized this was the moment, an opportunity to let her voice ring out beyond her own walls. Hidden fears competed with gleeful anticipation, but she felt different now. She was fighting for more than herself. So she took a breath, ready to open her heart to her children, crafting a narrative they'd never forget. And in that moment, Maria knew that this was just the beginning. As she turned to the first page of her story, a familiar voice echoed in her mind. You are the writer of your own life. What would she create next? And would it be enough to face the wave of challenges ahead? Maria gripped her notebook tightly, knowing that this journey was only beginning. A leap of faith that would demand more than she ever anticipated. Would she rise to meet it? Maria settled into the cozy embrace of the couch, her children nestled close, their tiny bodies buzzing with eagerness. The softness of the cushions felt like a safe harbor, a contrast to the bubbling storm inside of her. She opened her notebook, heart racing, ready to share a piece of herself. "Okay, everyone," she began, her voice steady but tinged with excitement. "This story is about a brave little girl who learns to believe in herself, just like her mommy. As she spoke, the words flowed easily, painting vivid images in the minds of her children. They giggled at the funny parts, gasped at moments of suspense. Each reaction was a spark igniting the fire in Maria's heart. She saw them leaning forward, their eyes wide, and suddenly those doubts began to dissipate, drifting away like clouds in the sunshine. But as she finished, a heavy silence settled in the room. The story had resonated deeply. Sophia's face lit up with admiration. "Mommy, you're amazing. Can I be in your next story?" Maria chuckled, her heart swelling with pride. "Of course, you'll be the hero." Once the story ended, they discussed it, their laughter filling the air again. The joy echoed, wrapping around her like a warm blanket. But then, reality returned as her phone buzzed again. This time it was Dr. Ramirez. "Just wanted to check in. Ready for the event next week?" Panic gripped Maria like a vice. Was she really ready? "I am. Just practicing." She texted back, even as uncertainty gushed through her mind like ink spilled from a tipped bottle. Later that evening, as the children fell asleep, Maria couldn't shake the thought that clung to her like a shadow. It gnawed at her, the question lurking in the back of her mind. What if they didn't like it? The night deepened, and she found herself staring at the dark ceiling, wrestling with her emotions. But then, she remembered Sophia's bright eyes and her encouraging giggles. Her words echoed in her mind. The little girl believed in her, and maybe that was a sign to overcome the fear. The next morning, Maria gathered her children's drawings scattered across the kitchen table. Each piece of paper told a story that brought her a sense of calm and creativity. She realized the power of those little hands' innocence and imagination spilling over onto the pages. What if she could find a way to incorporate their inspirations into her writing? Could be her unique angle, something no one else had. With a new sense of purpose, Maria found herself crafting a story that wove her children's experiences with her own doubts and triumphs. The morning light spilling into the room ignited her creativity, and she began to type furiously, each sentence building on the last. But as she wrote, she received another message. This time, from an unknown number. "We heard about you. We want to help." Maria's heart raced. Who were they? And what did they want? Was this the opportunity she had been waiting for? Or just another distraction from what she was trying to build? Curiosity blended with fear, her breath caught in her throat. The day unfolded, revealing unexpected twists. And just as she began to feel familiar with her creative path, a hard choice lay before her. Should she respond or focus only on the event where she'd share her heart? Which direction would she choose? Should she embrace the unknown, or stay safe in what she knew? The clock ticked on, each second amplifying her uncertainty, and she held her breath, waiting for the answer to reveal itself. Would she take the leap, or let fear keep her rooted? Maria stared at her phone, the message glaring back at her like a lighthouse beacon in a thick fog. Her heart raced with possibilities. Did she dare reach out, or was it wiser to stay focused on the event that loomed ahead? The uncertainty twisted in her stomach like a knot tied too tight. Finally, with a deep breath, she set her phone aside. She picked up a crayon from the clutter of her children's drawings and began to sketch as she thought. The familiar colors felt soothing beneath her fingers, their simplicity grounding her as the ideas tipped over one another in her mind. She lost track of time, captured by her thoughts and the fleeting strokes of the crayon. Images danced before her eyes. The brave little girl from her story didn't just overcome fear. She also dared to step into the unknown, much like Maria herself was contemplating. Maybe the message was a sign. Just then, Sophia dashed into the kitchen, her hair a mess of curls. "Mommy, what are you doing?" Her voice was bright, a melody that cut through Maria's moments of self-doubt. "Creating a new adventure," Maria replied, holding up the drawing. "What do you think?" Sophia clapped her hands, her eyes shimmering with excitement. "I want to be a princess who saves the day. Can I help you write it?" Maria's heart melted. The thought of sharing this creative journey with her daughter filled her with warmth. "Absolutely. Let us make it a family story." They spent hours together, ideas swirling like leaves in a brisk autumn wind. Laughter and creativity merged as they crafted tales bursting with magic and bravery. Each time they added a character, Maria felt the knots in her stomach unraveling just a little more. It was as if every word on the page was a step towards the stage she was so afraid to face. As evening approached, the once bright kitchen faded into shadows. The stories lingered in the air, a tapestry of imagination woven through the quiet. And still, the message from the unknown number nagged at her thoughts. Despite the earlier resolve to ignore it until after the event, Maria picked up her phone again. With a deep breath, she opened the message and tapped out a reply, her fingers shaking slightly from excitement and nerves. "Thank you for reaching out. What do you have in mind?" The send button felt like a monumental leap into the unknown. What if this was an opportunity to grow her passion into something more? Before she could overthink it, another message dinged her phone. "We'd love to discuss ways to bring your story to life. Can we meet this week?" A rush of disbelief surged through her. A meeting? Her heart pounded again, this time with adrenaline. Suddenly, the thought of sharing her work felt as exhilarating as it was terrifying. That evening, while tucking her children into bed, she couldn't shake the bubbling excitement. What if this is the start of something incredible? She whispered to herself as she brushed a lock of hair from Sophia's forehead. But deep down, another question lurked. What if it was all just wishful thinking? Was she ready to step beyond the world of crayons and bedtime stories into something grander? The next few days promised pivotal choices, pulling her in multiple directions. As Maria knelt beside her sleeping children, trepidation and hope clashed within her. She had to choose. Take charge of her dreams or let them slip away into the shadows of doubt. What awaited her on this path? And when the moment of truth arrived, would she find the courage to let it all unfold? Maria stood before the mirror, her reflection staring back, filled with both doubt and determination. Today was the day she would present her story at the community event. The whispers of fear quieted, replaced by the echo of her children's laughter and their dreams. She had practiced in front of her family, weaving her unique narrative of courage, vulnerability, and hope inspired by the lessons shared during the workshops. "Mama, you look so pretty," Sophia exclaimed, her eyes sparkling like stars. Maria smiled, gathering her little ones into her arms. "I'm just trying to be the best you all deserve," she whispered, her heart swelling with pride. "Just be you, Mommy," Carlos added, his voice soft yet firm. "We believe in you." The reassurance from her babies filled her heart with a warmth that chased away the last remnants of fear. As she drove to the community center, anxiety gripped her. Each stoplight felt like an eternity, the pounding of her heart echoing through the quiet car. But then she thought of the faces of all those who had believed in her, including Dr. Ramirez and Ethan. She closed her eyes momentarily, imagining the glowing encouragement of the audience waiting for her. With that thought, she took a deep breath. The anticipation crackled in the air as Maria arrived at the event. A bustling arena of voices, laughter, and stories waiting to unfold. Once inside, her pulse raced. People mingled, sharing their hopes, dreams, and vulnerabilities. Yet, in this crowd, Maria found solace. Each person here was a dreamer, just like her. Then it was time. The host introduced her, and she felt the weight of the collective gaze resting upon her. Swallowing her fear, she stepped onto the stage, the spotlight warming her face. She could almost hear her children cheering her on, urging her to rise above the paralyzing doubts. "Hi everyone," she began, her voice steady. "I'm Maria, and I want to talk about dreams today. Dreams are like seeds. They need nurturing to grow." As she spoke, her heart opened up, spilling forth her journey of self-discovery. She painted her story with deep, vivid strokes, mornings filled with scrubbing floors, nights with dreams scribbled across worn pages, and the power of vulnerability that had helped her rise. Each smile and nod of encouragement from the audience fueled her confidence. She could see connections being made, faces lighting up as she shared her unique narrative, with the struggles of a cleaning lady transforming into the beautiful colors of determination and hope. Tears shimmered in her eyes as she brought it to a close. "And to my children, you taught me that I could be so much more. she said, voice breaking with emotion. Every time you smile, it reminds me that I am not just a cleaner. I am your superhero. The applause that erupted felt like a wave, crashing over her in warm embrace. When Maria stepped off the stage, she felt lighter, freer, as if chains had been broken. Afterward, conversations flowed like water. People shared their stories with her, their eyes gleaming with admiration and inspiration. The unknown number had become a significant opportunity, and as she spoke to folks about her passions, she realized that her journey was just beginning. A woman approached, introducing herself as an editor interested in Maria's story. They discussed possible collaborations over coffee. Later, when Maria drove home, the night sky wrapped her world in stars. She could hardly contain her joy. The kids were still awake when she walked through the door, waiting with excitement. "Mommy, how was it?" Mia's bright eyes sparkled under the soft light. "It was amazing. I shared my story, and guess what? There might be more adventures ahead," Maria exclaimed, enveloping her children in a warm hug. The three of them danced around the living room, laughter echoing like music. Maria realized then that she was no longer just a cleaning lady, she was a storyteller, a dreamer on her path to success. In sharing her truth, she didn't just inspire herself. She inspired her children too, showing them that believing in yourself can open doors to endless possibilities. As she tucked Sophia in, she leaned down to whisper, "Always remember, my love, you are the hero of your own story." Later that night, as Maria closed her notebook on her desk, she felt peace wash over her. The journey had just begun, blooming in ways she could never have imagined. Each day, she embraced her identity, nourished by hope and a deep love for her children. And every time doubt crept in, she would remind herself of that radiant feeling and illuminated path fueled by the voices of those she loved most. So, dear friends, now is the moment you need to take action. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories unfolding from hearts like Maria's. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, showing your support. And let me know in the comments how this journey touched your heart. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to spread the inspiration. Only true fans understand how crucial it is to support the channel through these actions. Let's keep this love for stories alive.